What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. Today it is time for week 26 of the Premier League predictions, and I want to give a shout out to Alex Di Pieri, hopefully I pronounced your name okay, who commented his predictions on the last week and answered the comment question of the week, the three teams he thought would get relegated, and he went with West Ham, and that would be funny in his opinion, Aston Villa and Norwich. Now this week, if you want to be featured in the next episode of the Premier League predictions, just drop your predictions for week 26 down in the comments. We're going to take a break from the comment question, just your predictions down below, and smash a like while you're down there. Let's try and smash 200 likes. I keep saying the support on the channel has been absolutely insane, and I just love it. Now, before we get into the week 26 predictions, let's have a little look back at week 25 predictions. Now, the week for me was definitely a story of two halves. We had the first half, the Saturday fixtures, I did really well, and then the Super Sunday, not so well. But anyway, kicking it off, we had a perfect score prediction, Leicester versus Chelsea. I predicted it would end 2-2, and it actually did. My dad is a Chelsea fan. He had the game fixture written on the fridge calendar, and I wrote under it 2-2 in the morning before I went out, and it actually ended 2-2, so I was pretty proud of myself there. Bournemouth, Aston Villa, I went with a 1-1 draw, and Bournemouth, the resurgent Cherries, have got another win, beating Aston Villa 2-1. Again, making the relegation battle super exciting. Coming up after that, we had Crystal Palace versus Sheffield United, another correct score prediction. I predicted Sheffield United would win 1-0, and they did. Liverpool, Southampton, I was close. I predicted a 4-goal game with Liverpool to win. I predicted 3-1 to Liverpool, and it was actually 4-0 to Liverpool, all second half goals. The next game, Newcastle versus Norwich, I predicted a 2-1 win to Newcastle, and it actually ended in a 0-0 draw. Apparently, Newcastle wasted quite a lot of chances, and Steve Bruce was none too happy about that. The next game, Watford versus Everton, I predicted Everton would win by a goal, and both teams would score, so about as close as you can get without getting the perfect score. I predicted a 2-1 away win to Everton, and it was a 3-2 away win to Everton. The next game, West Ham versus Brighton, I correctly predicted that both teams would score and they would draw, but I went for a much more tame 1-1 result as opposed to the 3-3 result that then occurred. And then in the evening, Manchester United up against Wolves. Once again, I predicted a low-scoring affair. I predicted a 1-0 away win to Wolves, and it actually ended in another bore draw, 0-0. I think the world of football has seen enough of Manchester United versus Wolves for a little while now. Just watch both of them meet in the Europa League final and draw 0-0 as well. And then after that, it kind of took a turn for the worse going on into the Sunday fixtures. Burnley versus Arsenal. I was originally going to predict a draw. I said it in the video. I was going to go for a draw between Burnley and Arsenal, 1-1, I believe. But then I looked at the record, and Burnley had picked up 0 points against Arsenal in their previous 11 meetings. So now it's been 12 meetings, and they picked up 1 point because the game ended 0-0 as opposed to 2-1 to Arsenal. I think it could have been a 2-1 scoreline if Arsenal took their chances and Burnley took their chances, but it was a 0-0. And then the final game, the one that I got completely wrong, Tottenham up against Manchester City. I predicted a 3-1 win to City. And again, to be fair, if City took even half their chances, it could have been 3-1 to Manchester City, but they didn't take any of their chances. Zinchenko gets sent off, and then Tottenham win 2-0, which is just crazy, because that now means that Liverpool can mathematically win the league even before their trip to the Etihad at the beginning of April. They are 6 wins away from guaranteeing them winning the Premier League, and that's only if Man City win their next 6 games. And Man City have a really hard run of fixtures. They've got Chelsea, Man United and Leicester in those 6 games, whereas Liverpool in the next 6 only have Everton away that might be slightly tough for them. The other 5 are extremely winnable for Liverpool. So I think Liverpool are going to win the league in March. It's just a matter of when, maybe even February. I don't know if that's possible actually, but they're going to win it before they go to the Etihad, which is just absolutely phenomenal. But now it is time to get into the week 26 predictions, and it's very much spread out. It's like a little winter break thing the Premier League is trying, I think. So there's going to be some games coming up this weekend, and then some of the other games much later on. So Chelsea versus Man United, I believe, is on the 19th. No, it's on the 17th of February, whereas Everton Crystal Palace is on the 8th of February. So they're quite spread apart, so my predictions might suffer a little bit from that. But let's kick it off with Everton up against Crystal Palace. Now, Everton, even with 10 men, they were able to get the late winner through Theo Walcott against Watford, who have been playing better lately, and that was away from home, whereas Crystal Palace lost at home, as I predicted, to Sheffield United. So I think this is going to be a routine win for Everton. Palace in the past have travelled better than they've played at home, but I think Everton are a cut above Crystal Palace at this point, and I'm going to go for a 2-0 win. to Carlo Ancelotti and the Toffees. The next game is Brighton up against Watford. This is going to be a very, very tough one to predict because Brighton have been very, very hit and miss this season, as have Watford. Watford looking a little bit better than Brighton, I would say, but Brighton, they put 3 past West Ham, but also conceded 3 against West Ham, and that's just not something that happens. West Ham are in very bad form. They're actually in the relegation zone now as well, which is crazy to think, to be honest. So I'm going to go for a draw between these two teams. I think maybe at home for Watford, I think they would probably have enough to beat Brighton because Brighton don't travel away particularly well, but as it's at home at the Amex Stadium, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw between the two teams. The next game, Sheffield United, who are now in 6th place ahead of Manchester United, just behind Tottenham, against Bournemouth. Bournemouth now out of the relegation zone, having won a couple of games. I think this is going to be a close game, but I think Sheffield United will be able to win. I think just being more in the routine of winning games than Bournemouth are, I think they'll be able to get over the line, but I think Bournemouth will give a better account of themselves this time around than they have done previously throughout the entire season that's left them in such a tight spot. I think they will score, but I think Sheffield United will do enough to get the win. I'm going to go for a 2-1 home win to Sheffield United, but I think Bournemouth would be honestly happy with a draw or anything more, to be honest. I think they just want to be picking up points consecutively if they can. Now, the next game is Manchester City up against West Ham. Man City, what can you say? Dominated the game against Tottenham for the first hour and then just threw it away, lost the game, dominated the game but couldn't take their chances. And West Ham scoring 3 goals at home and still not able to get 3 points. I mean, what more? Like, this is why you're in the relegation zone. They're struggling, and I'm going to go for a big scoreline. I don't think I might have predicted, I think I predicted a 6-1 in the past on this channel, but I've never predicted a 6-0, so I'm going to predict a 6-0 win to Manchester City, because Man City, for the first time, I think maybe under Pep Guardiola, went back-to-back games without scoring a goal against Manchester United in the Carabao Cup, and then against Tottenham in the Premier League. So I'm going to go for them to kind of make up for that, and average it out as 2 goals a game for the last 3 games by scoring 6 past West Ham in this fixture. The next one is Wolves up against Leicester. I think this is going to be a very, very tough one to predict again. Wolves, they didn't concede against Manchester United, which was, you know, pretty good going. Leicester, they managed to draw 2-2 against Chelsea. My dad, as I said, is a Chelsea fan. He watched the game, and apparently Chelsea, according to him at least, were very much on top and perhaps could have won that game, but then there were commentators saying that Leicester were very much on top. Dad sent me a message saying that if both teams took their chances, it would have ended like 7-6 to Chelsea. But I didn't see the game, so I don't know. But I think this is going to be a draw, a low-scoring draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw because Wolves love a draw. Leicester coming off of a draw. I think against Wolves, they'll probably get another one. Now, the next game is Southampton up against Burnley. Burnley unable to get a win against Arsenal. Perhaps they could have done it if they took their chances, but they were fortunate in the fact that Arsenal also didn't take their chances. So I think in a very boring game, a draw was a fair result there. And Southampton just got absolutely pumped by Liverpool, which I guess you would expect, but 4-0 is still, you know, it's quite a heavy defeat. Southampton now returning to St. Mary's Stadium. I think they're going to bounce back with a win, a close win, a well-fought, well-deserved win. 2-1 to Southampton. I think Burnley like to dig in against the teams like Arsenal and, you know, Tottenham and United and Leicester and teams above them. But in and around them, I think Burnley will be a little bit more relaxed, and I think that'll be to their detriment, giving Southampton the victory. The next game, Norwich up against Liverpool. As I said, Liverpool have a very easy run now that they've survived the fixtures that they have recently, still winning all of them. I think this is going to be a very comfortable win for Liverpool. Not going to be a 2-0 win like Liverpool often do. I'm going to go for another 4-0 win to Liverpool against Norwich in this fixture. The next game is Aston Villa up against Tottenham, and it has to be said, what a debut for Steven Bergwijn. I like him. I really liked watching him last year in the Champions League. I think he's an exciting player, and Tottenham, luck definitely went their way in multiple situations. Obviously, there was the penalty. Hugo Lloris saved it, which was a good save. Ilkay Gundogan's first miss from the penalty spot, but it was an illegal save. He was off his line. It should have been retaken. Had Man City been 1-0 up, I think that could have ended 3-0 to City, honestly. Maybe 3-1, like I predicted even. But still, Tottenham did what was necessary on the day and rode their luck and got the win. I think they're going to be able to beat Aston Villa here, and I'm actually going to go for a high-scoring game. I'm going to go for a 3-1 win to Tottenham. I think it's about time we have another high-scoring game. I think the last time these two teams met, it was 3-1 to Tottenham as well, actually. So I'm going for a repeat scoreline. The next game is Arsenal up against Newcastle. Now, Arsenal are one of the only teams to actually beat Newcastle at St. James's Park. They won 1-0 there in August. And I'm going to go for a very similar game here, but with Arsenal taking one more chance than they did in August. And I'm going to go for a 2-0 home win to Arsenal. I think you know, Arsenal haven't been losing, which is great, but they have only won 6 games this entire season, which is a quarter of the games that Liverpool have won, which is absolutely ridiculous. But I think home form will definitely suit them. Newcastle away are nowhere near as strong as they are at St James's Park. I'm going to go for another clean sheet for Arsenal, but this time finally a win. 2-0 to the Gunners in this one. And the final game, it is the game of the week, of the 2 weeks. As I said, I believe it's Monday, the 17th of February, this game takes place. Chelsea up against Manchester United. And Bruno Fernandes did look like, you know, he looks like he's going to be an exciting player. And he is going to improve Manchester United. But I think it's going to take a little bit of time for him to find his feet in the Premier League and get things rolling. So I think that Chelsea are going to, I just think they're going to win this one at home. I think they've got to avenge the 4-0 loss against Manchester United. I think it was the first game of the season. Chelsea lost 4-0 to Man United, and ever since then it's been up for Chelsea and down for United. United having their worst start to a Premier League season. It's not looking great for them. I think it's going to be an exciting game, but I just feel like Chelsea are going to win. I don't know if Chelsea are the favourites or anything like that. I just get a feeling Chelsea are going to win, so I'm going to go for a 2-1 home win to Chelsea. So that is going to do it for my week 26 predictions of the Premier League. And if I look at my recording schedule real quick. Yes, okay, so this is the Premier League predictions. And I should have said this at the beginning, but I forgot. This is the 100th video on the Full 90 channel, which is amazing. We're nearly at 8,000 subscribers, and the support has been fantastic. So the next video won't be for a little while. It's going to be on the 16th of February, and it's going to be the Champions League Round of 16 Leg 1 predictions. So a little break on the channel until then, but then it gets really busy through February and March. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe, turn on the bell so you don't miss a single video. Leave a like if you enjoyed, as I said, and I will see you in the next video very soon.